Hello and welcome once again. My name is Gavin, and you're watching Stronghold Series number 3. And guess who didn't forget to unmute themselves this time? That's right, your favorite caster. As mentioned, I'm Gavin, joined by your actual favorite casters, Daak and Fadedsun. We just finished watching up a fantastic match between Sedge and GimbleB. GimbleB taking the win off of time in a very exciting match towards the end of it. Strange new format for these guys. You know, timers aren't new to competitive, but a running chess clock is relatively new. Faded Doc, what do you think of the match? Why go get Gimbal to sort of give us some thoughts in this call real quick?
I think this is going to be a interesting match because both these players have a bit more they're definitely more seasoned players, so I think they might be able to manage the time a little bit better. It's definitely just one of those hard skills, and we'll see which one of them manage it better in general, especially since with these players I expect them to have the opening more figured out, so you're not going to see very slow turns in their early game, and it's going to keep on rolling ahead. And they're both playing Ragna. So Ragna has a very interesting group that's kind of been back and forth in terms of community perspective. Sometimes it's like, oh, Ragna's great. When she gets her like a groove off, she blows up the whole enemy team. And other times they're like, you know, if she ever tries to blow up the enemy team, she instantly dies on the spot. So it's kind of useless. So it's a really interesting push and pull you have with her groove.
We got Gimbal in the call. That was a great match, dude. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
A lot more like adrenaline filled than I thought I would be. That was definitely closer than I was expecting.
Dude, I felt adrenaline just watching. I've got more questions for you, but I do want to go through our show notes really quick since Shu and Bello are waiting. Again, you're watching Stronghold Series. We host these special times throughout the year for Wargroove, trying to feature top casters, personalities, talent, players of Wargroove and the Wargroove competitive community. This is game 2 you're about to watch between Shu and Bello. Yeah, both players highly accoladed. Bello being ranked 1 on the original Groove of War ladder. Not really being run anymore, but he's definitely like shown he's a great player. He's the destroyer of pikeman walls, the Reddit hero, authored the top post, counter to spear and treb spam. That was Bello, if you've ever seen that gif, the very impressive one. And then we've got Shu. Faded, you know a lot more about him than I do, but he's from the Advanced Wars by Web community, right?
Yeah, that's right. And he's a top player over there.
Top 5, I think, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then Gimbal, he recently, you were the one who TO'd and hosted Groove of War 3, and he did quite well in that tournament as well, correct?
Yeah, he got a top 3. He very close to beating Vito in losers finals as well, so he could very well have been a grand finalist.
Took a notable win against a player on this stream before versus Ash. Ash being a very strong player in his own right, former Stronghold Series champion and a Groove of War champion, so Shu is no pushover.
When you take a look at the bracket, Shu had a pretty amazing run through losers to get to the top. He had something like 8 total wins across the entire tournament.
Yeah, he went out in the first round in winners and then just pile drived his way through losers.
So both players taking a last-minute break before they get started. We'll be going with Shu versus Bello.
And Ragna it should be interesting. She is very explosive, but she's also, I mean, I'd caught you guys saying just as I joined that, you know, she either like does tons of damage or she does tons of damage and dies immediately.
Yeah, she's a bit of a double-edged sword.
Turns out that's what happens when you use your own body as a bullet.
Very true. And it'll be very interesting to see how she plays on this timer, which I was a big fan of. I actually really enjoyed that. I think it could have been a little bit longer just for this map, but then again, like I wasn't having any trouble playing to time, so
Both players still confirming.
but her groove is very like high pressure. Like you really have to think it through before you use it. They're really gonna be pushing like all the gears in their brain, just like going over like, is it actually the good time? Am I gonna die immediately if I do this?
Right. So Gimbal, while we have you here, while these guys are getting ready, you mentioned just like how much adrenaline you got from playing that game. I mean, what should these guys watch out for playing with this particular time format?
The main one is that you. So I mean, I know you have history in fighting games. I saw on your Twitter that you're gonna go to EVO this year. Timer scumming is like a thing that you can do to people. And I was very aware of that, and okay, it's not the best way to win, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna play fast, and I know I'm good, and like I'm good enough to be like on Sedge's level, so like I don't know if I'm necessarily better than him, but if I just play really fast, then that puts lots of pressure on my opponent to also like play faster than they're used to. And I used to stream lots of quick play before I got tired of weather. So I'm used to just playing really fast in general. Like they have 2.5 minute turn timers on quick play, so you have to be fast.
All right, so Shu on the left has the blue Ragna, and on the dark gray black Ragna is Bello. And yeah, they're not. They're going. They're ready. Let's get those names right really quick.
And these first few turns are going to be really fast. Like you don't want to, like seconds mean everything at every point in the game. So like your first few turns are just going to be bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, both players probably. This map was decided again. Bans and everything was done earlier, so they both had time to look through the map and probably have their openings already basically planned out.
Once again, Fadedsun keeping the official timer. The one you see on screen is not the official one, since, you know, that's managed more on the broadcast side of things. Both players, as you mentioned, bam, bam, bam. Speed is key, and as I think we talked about in our production meeting, we expect this to go to time. We expect this to come down to the wire on time.
Yep. Especially if you're starting to be disadvantaged, then you have to spend time in order to catch up. Like, time is a resource. It's very important to understand when you're playing in a timed game between fairly high-skilled players who can actually use that time. There's definitely an element where if you're new to a game, you can't really leverage time, right? You're sitting there and you're like, okay, I don't really know how to think further ahead. But since these players are at level, they can think ahead, they can plan and stuff. Time is a real resource.
And as mentioned, both of these players, highly accoladed players, both have taken multiple quote-unquote championships in this game. Top ranked, top 3s, top 8s. Like, this is pressure that they can adapt to, despite not playing in this atmosphere yet. Both players nearly tied on time so far on the broadcast timer. 1 minute to get through the first 3 turns apiece. The map itself, tell me about it. It is Winter, as I forget the name of the map itself.
This is called Winter Woods. It was designed by Exmo, who's our Groove the War admin. I would say it's a bit more complex than the previous map, Port Island. But kind of similar to Port Island, we have some strategically placed flagstone here to kind of make makeshift air fronts. So that's something to watch out for when your air units are on the board.
You can sort of see the pass cutting through the middle and a few other places. Flagstone being, for those of you who are new to the game, just visiting because of PS4 launch, Flagstone being a tile that is not accessible to units like vehicles. You can only travel on foot and horseback. Flying units, trebuchets cannot travel on wagons.
Yeah, thematically in the game it's supposed to represent the inside of cap. So that's why flying units and trebuchets and the like just don't go on it.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out, XMO is one of the better map designers. He's designed a lot of maps, so he has a lot of experience with this kind of stuff. And one thing I really like about this map is how well designed the flagstone is, where it has indicators making it kind of obvious of where the flagstone is. You can see the little decorations there. That is a fantastic mapping tool given to us by Chucklefish, because on some early maps especially, you had random bits of flagstone done entirely for gameplay purposes, and you have new players come to the map, and then they're like, wait, why can't my catapult go here? Oh, there's a random piece of flagstone, and you have to like actually be able to see it. But using decorations, you can make it a lot more obvious, which is something XMO's clearly put thought into.
Yeah, and to just note on that as well, it's a lot easier to see it on certain tile sets. So, for example, the desert tile set is actually quite difficult to see flagstone on compared to the grass one.
Both players obviously have their openings sort of thought out here. So the timer's not really playing too much of a factor other than them speedrunning Wargroove right now. But once the armies start to get a little closer, once Ragna's getting range of each other, once you start getting more threatening trebuchets and flyers out, we'll see this sort of grinding down to a little bit slower pace.
So I'm already massively preferring Bello's position, because Ragna is already has 70% groove, or Bello has 70% groove. There's no point calling them Ragna right now. Well, Shu only has 25% groove, and that's just because what Bello did was take advantage of the fact that those village hits can count as kills. So that's basically 2 kills in charge that Bello has that Shu doesn't have.
Shu has 25 groove, by the way, with 75 on Bello.
And like the big divergence there is that Shu is massively preferring economy right now. He has like a fairly chunky, but it is the choice of, do I take longer to like recapture these villages and give my commander groove, or do I capture them more quickly and get a much better econ going earlier?
So Shu coming up with some aggressive builds already, building out a trebuchet and a golem here. Definitely something that, with Bello's lacking economy, is going to have a harder time answering. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of Shu capturing that village, because Ragna now has this option, whereas if Ragna wanted to get groove, she would have had to capture the top village at 7th house, which would have kept Ragna away from the center. By doing this, it's not that Shu gave more groove, it's that he allowed Bello to gain groove without sacrificing Ragna positioning.
Right, I'm not sure what Shu's plan is here by giving Bello such early groove. Ragna's already charged up.
It might have been as simple as a time pressure thing, though, for that kind of play. Because I feel like that was a pretty serious mistake. Especially since, on this whole front, there's not enough units to punish an aggressive Ragna, where Ragna just dumps in and does a ton of damage. There is a ballista coming out, and it's important to note that because of this this balloon positioning, Bello is going to be able to reposition the ballistas and the trebuchets into a very aggressive position very easily here. And that is, I was talking earlier in the last game about how you need to have an answer to pike swarms in order to function this game, basically. And ballistas and trebuchets are in fact an answer to pike swarms.
Wargroove has one of the better spectator systems in gaming, in my opinion. Very easy drop in, drop out. If you'd like to watch this game, and Twitch chat is the code for the game, feel free to stop by, watch with us. You people in Twitch chat, hope you guys are enjoying it so far. You're watching Stronghold Series number 3, Shu versus Bello. I'm Gavin, joined by Daak, Fadedsun, and GimbleB. GimbleB just taking our first game of the day earlier. Dragon out for Shu, bottom left.
I'm actually not sure how I feel about this dragon play. I mean, dragons are very good in general, and it does mean that Ragna can't jump anywhere there's road because the dragon will just melt her. But it also there's a lot of things that can shut the dragon down. Yeah. Like you've got
Yeah,
a
especially when there's
ballista.
already a ballista that's about to be redeployed really nicely with the air balloon. I don't understand the dragon build at all.
I mean, it's
I
free,
really
it's
like
free real
Bello's
estate.
position a lot.
It's free real estate, and where the ballista's not, there's pretty much going to be a building to hit, at least.
Yeah,
There's
especially-
2 mages and a harpy on the field as well, though, so it's very much like you have to. Bello would have to make a real kind of positioning mistake to let the dragon actually get anything, because there's just a lot of anti-air out right now.
We'll see where the ballista goes.
It does kind of look like Bello or Shu might be trying some kind of timing attack on the HQ, but I think once you put down the trebuchet and the ballista, it's really hard to do anything to it. And it does look like the game did develop to a state where it is getting very tricky for Bello, even with this early Ragna, to actually jump in somewhere and not die, basically. So that's definitely makes the whole Bello having groove advantage a little less big of a deal.
Yeah, I guess probably Shu's line of thinking with getting this Treb and this Golem is that he's saying to Bello, like, I don't care if you have groove, because what are you going to use it on?
Right.
And now Bello has a witch as well, which, I mean, like if you saw the last game, they're very good anti-air, but they're also just very good at dealing with big clumps of units.
Yep. It's worth noting that one of the really powerful things about the whole combo of siege units along with a balloon is that it's very defensive right now because, oh, these siege units are basically saying, like, Shu, you can't move up or else you die. But very next turn, Bello could say, alright, pack up all my siege units, I'm moving them up and moving them to another aggressive position, which is a very powerful amount of flexibility to give
Daak lagging a
strong
little bit on
players.
our side. Sorry about that. Getting a little robot-y.
So just while Shu's taking his turn, one thing that Bello is going to struggle, especially on this timer system, like I mentioned earlier, is like how he's going to use groove. Because he has groove and he can sit on it, but like, and it's a threat, like just having it up is like a really big deal, even
Right.
if like your opponent has to respect it, but he has to use it at some point. Like you can use it as a threat, but like you kind of ideally want to use it and do lots of damage.
So we can kind of see a play. We can kind of see the play that's starting to build for Shu in the south. What's Bello going for here for as he push into the mid game quickly?
So I'm not actually sure because it seems okay. He has the groove up earlier, but he is at a disadvantage right now. He is behind on economy slightly. There's big units out. There's like this huge spear formation, and the huge spear formation is backed up by a mage, which is really important because otherwise, if there's no good anti-air, witch hexes could just like keep slamming down on those a lot. But because hey, he's got this one mage backing it up, suddenly the witch is like really vulnerable if it goes for that kind of play.
Yeah, it looks like Shu's going for this big HQ push, and I don't know, looks like Bello might be trying to do the same now by ballooning his Treb and Ballista over to Shu's HQ.
Yeah, this is one of those like it's, I guess you'd call it the slow win condition, where the ballista is gonna be in position to just like keep hitting and like chipping away at that headquarters for very small amounts of damage each turn. Because it only does 15 to 25 damage, and the HQ heals 10, so it's effectively doing 5 to 15 damage each turn.
Do you think?
You know,
Do you think with the positioning we've got here, obviously it's gonna turn into an HQ push. Do you think the players are just like rushing a little bit too much? Like, because this game could end with both players with 15 minutes left and errors have been made, you know?
it's not super weird. Like, I think a lot of the time, some games will just devolve into like, I'm gonna push your headquarters before you can push mine, and like, whoever thinks they can win the race faster is
Right.
gonna win. And I mean, actually, here's the thing about Ragna having her groove up so quickly now, is that she can just jump into it, and that will do a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's true. She can damage buildings with her groove.
And yeah, there isn't a huge amount really defending it. And
I don't
the
know
other
what
cool
she's
thing
gonna
about the other cool thing about this ballista play as well is that it forces your opponent into your ballista formation. Because okay, it takes like forever to win with that kind of like unit composition or unit positioning, but it will win eventually. So you have to do something about it, otherwise you're just going to lose the game. So Shu now is forced into a position where he has to attack this position, and there's a big trebuchet there, and there's a witch and a mage and a Ragna with groove. Actually, there's two mages and a second witch. So it's actually a really difficult position to attack into. There's lots of flagstone around it, so air units can't really get to it easily. Like, if you look at Shu's dragon at the south, like, how is that going to deal with that big force up? And the answer is it can't.
Should be noted that Giant is in position to smash one of the vehicles. The tribe, or, well, take that back. I was gonna say the Giant would have been a decent counter to the artillery, but instead it's gonna be used as a tool for this push as well.
It's going to be definitely very close in terms of timing. It's worth mentioning, Ragna Groove does in fact affect buildings, so that could very well play into this.
Daak just now rejoining us, by the way. We did have this talk just now, but it is pretty obvious to see, that the group's going to make the major difference with an HQ-based race here.
Yeah, that kind of is Bello's trump card against Shu right now, is that he has groove, and Shu is at what now?
Where's that dragon
65?
going? Is that dragon going north to defend or east to attack?
I think it's going east to attack. Well, he doesn't actually have to commit it to either side yet. He can just kind of move it to this corner here, and then it can kind of do both.
Because Shu had very little defense, and now he's actually pretty, between the Giant and the Dragon, like, that's pretty defendable all of a sudden. And looking south, that's a little scarier. I think Shu has more of an advantage here at the moment.
I actually think it's the other way. I think Bello has the advantage. Shu has to chew through all these units in front of the headquarters first, but Bello can just, like, hit it from range. That ballista can hit. What can happen here is the trebuchet can move between the ballista and the headquarters, so it will be in crit range as well, and he just moves air units in front. And there's nothing to deal with that. He can just
Right.
put his units in a position where they can't be hit back.
And
then
nothing... Oh, sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say he can Ragna jump on top of that, so...
I'm also just gonna point out that Shu has no anti-air. So once Bello puts down the air balloon in front of it and the witch in front of it,
Yep.
literally nothing Shu can do can affect this push. And I think this might in fact be game over. There's no anti-air here to deal with it.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Shu.
And that was a really good ballista hit as well. That was like a really nice high roll. So it's over next turn.
Yeah, Ragna Groove finishes off the HQ possibly, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't see anything Shu can do here.
So if that dragon were a witch, do you think things would have ended differently, or just one turn too slow no matter what?
One turn too slow no matter what.
Yeah, Bello, just that defensive formation around his headquarters, that's going to take at least 2 turns to break.
What Shu need to do is either have his own artillery to be able to siege the HQ, or he needed to build some mages sooner. But even mages might not have been enough.
If this is truly turn lethal for Shu, he has 19 minutes to sort of think through the puzzle here, just in case. But he looks like he's pretty. He knows what he has to try to do at least here.
Yeah, he's always.
Yeah, and then even if he doesn't kill it like this turn, he still has another turn because there's just no anti-air. Right? Like, let's say Bello low rolls as low as possible, and the headquarters doesn't die even if he throws everything at it. Well then, Bello just doesn't go all in, he just uses the trebuchet and the ballista, and then what? Shu still doesn't have an answer to the balloon. And so, he still loses.
I think actually, even if he gets 3 low rolls, because those are guaranteed that he's going to hit at least 3, I think that's guaranteed lethal.
Is he guaranteed?
Because he's got Ragna jump on top of Treb and Ballista.
Yeah, but I don't know if Ragna jump and Ballista and Treb will be enough, because Ballista... Well, but there's a bit of variance with the Treb because it is a crit. It is a crit thing, so that makes the variance a little bit higher. Then again, if Shu can threaten a 2-turn, then that does give him a small chance, which looks like he might be able to do, but he has just thrown away his dragon. Hitting with Ragna. He is going all in at this point, which he has to. He does dodge the trebuchet crit, which is really nice for him. Ooh, that is really close.
Yeah, I think that's probably as good as he would get as well. I don't think Commander plus Golem will one-shot a headquarters.
No, I don't think that.
No, this was never going to be a kill, but it's definitely special. Okay, well, I suppose if it's not a guaranteed kill next turn, and you fail to kill my headquarters, then I do win. That's what that move is able to do. But
I like this play with the Golem as well, by the way, because it means that mage couldn't get a follow-up hit on the head. So it is just going to come down to Ballista, Trebuchet, plus Ragna Groove on this headquarters to see if it will kill.
Yep.
Here we go.
The moment of truth.
Not that it's a very complex puzzle, but Bello does have 21 minutes to figure this out.
Oh, well,
Oh, it is more than
all
enough.
possible.
It is more than enough. Okay.
No, Treb crit is insane against HQ. It's like
Yeah.
that.
I think that was like a ridiculously high roll as well.
Yeah, that was the highest high roll that Trebuchet could have gotten.
6 total unit deaths, by the way. That was awesome. That was a great match. That was Bello and Shu. You guys are watching Stronghold Series number 3. Yeah, that's what the game is sometimes. It's building your army into the HQ race. Both players sort of got... I don't know if they got pressured into that. I think it was like part of their game plan going in. Like, you kind of have to go for some form of lethal instead of attrition front lines to play on a chess timer like this, right?
I do think that the chess timer might have made them say, how can I play a build that will, or like a strategy that will win me the game quickly, rather than, because I know Shu can take long turns. He tends to do that, or he was tending to do that in Groove of War sometimes. So he doesn't want to play a long match. He doesn't want to get into a situation where he thinks, oh, I'm going to be under lots of pressure to make turns like on top. I'm just gonna end the game before the timer actually comes into play.
Right. And for reference, Bello ended that at about 2020, and Shu ended at 1646, as far as timers go. So yeah, that was a great match. Thank you guys so much, especially to Shu and Bello for giving that to us. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Let everyone get a good night of sleep that they didn't expect they'd get after a Wargroove tournament stream. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we did have the losers finals. I think lasted almost 7 hours.
Oh no! Hey, my 6-hour VOD of Daak versus Ash is still my most viewed YouTube video of all time. But
that's kind of worrying that people who are like really excited about the idea of competitive Wargroove will look up the most popular, and it will be that 6-hour video.
6-hour game. Well, that's why we do this. On Stronghold Series, we like doing different rule sets around timers, since we're allowed the opportunity, since they're show matches instead of tournament matches, right? Not every match has to be the same format. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us. The next Stronghold Series will come with the next patch, is what we're looking at right now. So when the next patch comes out, we'll start organizing the players for that. Yeah, Gimbal, I think you have something to say, because there's a special event going on tomorrow that the people need to hear about.
Yes, Groove of War 3 finals are actually going to happen, and that'll be tomorrow night at around the same time this started, a little bit earlier. I think we're looking to start at like 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll be a little bit earlier, but it's going to be quite a long finals. The timer format does allow for longer matches. And
who have we got in grand finals?
We have Red Gems on winners and Veto on losers. So they're continuing the tradition of there's always a European and an American in finals for Groove of War. It just works out that way.
And where can fans watch the Groove of War 3 grand finals?
So that'll be on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GimbleB. And if you want to follow us on social media or on the Discord, it's twitter.com/Groove of War. We will be tweeting about the finals for all of that as well, keeping people up to date. And we have our Discord as well. I can't remember the URL offhand. I think Faded might be able to post that in chat though.
So that's happening tomorrow. Yeah, just quick thanks as we go ahead and close out. Thank you so much to the Groove of War community for helping promote the event, Chucklefish for helping to promote competitive Wargroove in general, especially over the past few months, and for their continued communication to players about what's coming up soon. So yeah, again, we timed this for the PS4 launch. So if you're a PS4 player and you're interested in doing something competitive for that community, because there's no crossplay for PS4, chat with some of these guys in the Groove of War Discord. They'll help you get started up. That's its own community that hasn't touched the game yet, and we're really excited to welcome them into the Wargroove community as a whole. Thank you so much to the players, Sedge, Show, Bello. Thanks to GimbleB for stopping by as a caster and a player. Thanks to Red Halo for helping organize players and times. To my fellow casters, Daak and Fadedsun. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and head out, and we'll see you guys in the next Stronghold Series. Tune in to Groove of War Finals 3 tomorrow, please. GimbleB at 5-ish Eastern PM.
5-ish. It depends on when they show up.
Depends on when they show up. Yeah. Keep an eye out. Follow Gimbal's Twitch. It's there. I posted it 5 times, but we'll see you guys next time. Thank you everyone so much for watching.
All right, thanks for having me, Gavin.
Thanks for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.